All right, we're going to take a little break from just picking that little pattern we did in that last video and talk about how these notes are going to appear on the written page. And they're going to appear in a form called tablature, or usually just abbreviated, we call it tab. So what does a tab look like? All right, so here is a blank tab without any notes on it, just blank. You can see now the horizontal lines represent the strings. So here's the fourth string, that example. This is the D string. The horizontal lines are just the strings, and then those vertical dashes, those just divide the tab into bars or measures. All right, now notice on that tab there, the strings are labeled over there on the side there, E, A, D, G, B, and then that lowercase e is the high E or the treble E. Now, if you're not already doing so, grab your guitar and hold it in the normal playing position like I am here. Now compare the neck to the tab. The tab is upside down. Notice the high E on the tab is on that top string, that one closest to the ceiling, while on your guitar neck, the high E, the treble E, the one that corresponds to, is down here on the string closest to the floor, or to your foot. The thing's upside down. Why is that? Well, it's probably done by the same people who make the chord boxes look like this instead of like this, which to me would make more sense. I don't know many guitar players who play their guitar with it standing upright. Maybe bass cellists do. I don't know. But the common held explanation for why tabs are oriented like this is it has to do with how standard notation is written on your on sheet music. I mean, sheet music has been around for hundreds of years, and if you remember from grade school or middle school music class, the bass notes are on the bottom part of the staff. You know, the strings are E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy deserves fudge, and then the middle strings are F, A, C, E. Anyway, so to keep everything consistent, I guess they decided that guitar tablature was going to be written in the same vein to match the staff notes. So bass strings on the bottom and treble strings on the top. You know, spatially visually as you look at it. I mean, something that we just have to deal with. I mean, I guess it would help if you look at it with, you know, looking down on your guitar neck. That way everything lines up. But anyway, so that's just a blank tab without any notes. So let's put some notes on there. All right, here's a tab that has some notes. In this example, each measure or bar has 6 notes. Each of those numbers represents a note. If a number, any number, appears on a string, then that string is going to be picked. The number itself refers to which fret the string is fretted. So that first 3 means that we pick the note at the 5th string, 3rd fret, and that would be note C. Now, if there is a 0 on any string, like you see there on the G string there, that third string, then that means that the string is still going to be picked, but the string is not going to be fretted. It's going to be just an open string. And if the string has no number on it at all, then that string is not going to be picked. So in that first measure, that 4th string and that 6th string is not going to be picked. Okay, so that's kind of it in a nutshell on what that tablature means. Those numbers and where they are spatially on the strings and on the guitar fretboard. Now, sometimes, in fact, most times, like in this example, a chord will appear at the top of the tab, and this makes things much easier. And if so, all we do is we just form the chord, like in that first one is a C, and then we can pick the strings. Now here's a full explanation of that tab that we got there on the page. So we would form a C chord, and then we would pick the fifth string, 3rd fret with your thumb. Then we would pick the 3rd string open with your index finger. Then we would pick the 2nd string, 1st fret with your middle finger. Pick the 1st string open. And this is a C, so that string at the bottom is open, right? Then pick the 2nd string, 1st fret with your middle finger. And the 3rd string, 2nd fret with your index finger. And then the same thing if we would move to the G chord. At number 3 there means pick the 6th string, 3rd fret with your thumb, and then the exact same pattern. Okay, then we would change to the D chord, and that 0 means we would pick the open 4th string, because this is a D. See, that string is open. So but we would still pick it because there is a number on that 4th string. So we would pick that with our thumb. Then we would pick that 3rd string, 2nd fret with our index finger. The 2nd string, 3rd fret with our middle. 1st string, 2nd fret with the ring finger. 2nd string, 3rd fret with the middle. And the 3rd string, 2nd fret with the index. All right? So as long as the notes are all in the first position there, meaning the numbers are 0 through 4, right? Then, and those chords are familiar, then you can focus on the strings and just kind of ignore the numbers, because the chords are going to take care of that, the fretted position. So you can just concentrate on the strings. So in this tab, you could kind of look at it in this way. Sure, we have numbers on the top part of that first tab, but you could just, it would be the same thing if those were just X's instead of numbers, because all we would concentrate is on the strings. Yeah. Because the chord, the C, the G, and the D. And for our purposes, this will be the case when we're learning new picking patterns, but it's not always that easy because not all tabs are songs. I mean, many are lead runs or riffs, or the tab may be a scale of some sort. And if so, these chords probably will not include all those notes, or they may not even apply because the pick strings are going to be all over the neck. So again, this kind of the shortcut to where we can just concentrate on the strings. If we're just dealing in the first position, which because we're beginners, we will for the most part. You can do that, but otherwise you'll have to pay a little bit more closer to the tab and where those numbers are. All right, so that was just a real easy tab. Let's take a look at a more of an advanced tab. Now, don't get too concerned about this because as a beginner fingerstyle guitarist, you're mainly going to be, like I said, working on easy picking patterns. But this tab is one of the most popular tabs of all time. So you see here, there's no chords, they're just picked notes. So what do we have here? Well, right off the bat, the first note is going to be played up here on the 7th fret, okay? So remember your markers, 3, 5, 7. And it's going to be on that 4th string. So that's what that 7 means. It's the 7th fret, and we're on the 4th string, that D string. And I see here that there's a cluster of numbers that tell me those first dozen notes are going to occur between the 5th fret and the 8th fret. And then we come back down to the open position for the rest of those notes, because all those notes are either 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so that, like I said, that first picked note there is going to be the one at the 4th string, 7th fret, followed by 3 notes that are at the 5th fret on the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. And I also see that there's 2 other groupings in that 5th fret. And all of this tells me that I should explore playing some sort of a bar chord on the 5th fret. For example, I think I can use the F minor shape on the 5th fret, and if I take that, here's the F minor, the kind of the easy F minor, because I don't have to worry about these top 2 strings because they don't appear in this tab. But if I take that F minor chord and I move it up to the 5th fret, that F minor becomes F minor, G minor, A minor. So now I can play this F minor shape up here on the 5th, and that turns it into an A minor chord. Now, because I'm going to play that 4th string, I'm going to fret through that first 4. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about these first 2. And I think I can use this shape to play most of those first 12 notes. So I'm going to bar that 5th string with this F minor shape, but I see I have to worry about strings 5 and 6. See that 1, 2, 3, 4. That 5th note there is a 6. So I'm going to take I think I'll take my middle finger and I'll put it there on that 6th, because I know I got to play that 6th note. I know this is all a little confusing to you because you're just starting out. But I see now that I'm ready to pick, or at least try and pick those notes out. So I got this formed up. So I'm going to start with that 4th string, and I'm going to pick 7, 5, 5, 5. Now I got to drop my pinky down to get that 7, and at the same time cover that 6, because there's 2 notes together. Then 2 more 5s. It's kind of hard to play really slowly. And then I got another 7. Then I come up here to the 8th, and it's a 5 there on the, or a 4 there. No, 5 there on the 4th string, so I pick those 2 strings together. Then 2 more 5s. Then back to the 8. All right, so that's the first 12 notes, all played with that A minor shape. There we're on that 8. Now I can drop down to the D and play 2 and 4 together. And the F major 7, which is that chord, to play the 1st string and the 4th string. Then I can move to the G chord, and I play the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th strings together. Then I play those same strings, but I move to the A minor. So that's how you would play that entire tab. I mean, hopefully you recognize that as Stairway to Heaven, that opening sequence to Stairway to Heaven. Remember, don't play Stairway to Heaven in music stores. As long as we're looking at a more complicated tab like this, notice that in red there, and I mentioned this when we were picking out that tab. Notice in red that there's 2 numbers vertically in the same position. You can see in that first measure, there's a 7 and 6 vertically aligned, and then there's in the second measure there's an 8 and a 5 and a 2 and a 4. And then in that 3rd measure, there's a 0 and 3. So that just means that you pick those 2 strings together at the same time. And now look at this tab. Now, if you see several vertical numbers all stacked together on top of each other, it usually means that we strum a chord. Now, since all these numbers are less than 4, we know that these notes are being played in the first position. So, therefore, this what you see there in red on that left-hand side, those 6 vertical numbers, that's just a G chord, and the middle 5 vertical numbers, it's a C chord, and then that last 4 vertical numbers, that's an easy F. You'll see some other common tab symbols too. The forward slant means that you would slide up. For example, here we're in the 5th fret. If you see a 5/7, means slide up to the 7. Okay. And if it's a back slant, say a 9 to a 5, then you would slide down. That kind of thing. And there's other notations for, you know, bends and hammer-ons and pull-offs. You'll see these. You'll encounter these as you go on. All right, so that's the short version on how you can read tablature. Let's get back now to that cascade pattern, and from here on out, we'll learn the picking. We'll finish off the cascade pattern, and we'll learn additional picking patterns, and we'll while we do this, we'll apply it and put it on some tablature so you can see how it will look.